So this is, I guess we'll just say this is the Advisory Committee on Sustainability. It is January 5th. It's a special meeting. It's 1 p.m. Hosted virtually on the town's GoToMeeting platform as printed on the agenda posted with the town clerk. And the purpose of our special meeting is to very specifically focus on not only our Sustainable CT Action Worksheet, but looking at each of the 12 categories and confirming we have at least one likely action item that we can achieve in each category. Because we don't want to get months down the road only to find out we have an Achilles heel that would prevent certification because we did not get authorized in each of the 12 categories. This, of course, is Carolyn's suggestion, and it is a good one. And I'm going to share my screen because everybody likes looking at spreadsheets on Zoom. But again, you all should have access to this. It's been shared as a Google Sheet. I see Carolyn's been on here. Christine's got access. Cliff has access. Let's see who else. Oh, that's a chat function. So if you don't have access yet, let me know. I'll make sure access gets shared with you. I haven't looked at, because these were for 2021. I haven't yet looked at the changes between 2021's action list and 2022's action list. That is a task that needs to be done. Chad had suggested in prior conversations that it's, pretty much the same, but there are probably some specific differences. But we're going to use this for now, assuming this is a good thing to do. So, category number 1 is inclusive and equitable community impacts. Kathy is the lead member of the committee with responsibility for these items. And like last time, I think once we pick one, optimizing any one of our other action items and analyzing it for equity and optimizing for equity is likely achievable. We just have to pick it and decide which one we're going to do and do it like we did last time. Kathy, would you generally agree with that assessment that is achievable?
I would agree that finding something, whether it's in well-stewarded land or in some other category where we can identify an action step that would provide equity across the community, we can move forward, and that would count. That would get points.
All right. So I got a green box there and a point potential of 10. So that's good. We're not going to talk about each of these individually, right? It's up to the ACS responsible member to keep pushing for these points and documenting for these points, but we just want to make sure we've got something under each category. I also think if we can convince some members of town staff to get some equity training, there's some point potential there, and that seems to be a pretty low bar, but we have to get on finding those training opportunities and getting particular staff members to agree to them.
And that would seem to make most sense if there was a particular area of this that we were working on, that staff be.
Yeah.
If you were working with Parks and Rec, that staff, or if you were working, because equity training would help. We did some of that work in equity training and equity planning with Human Services last time.
Now, is this big enough? Are most people generally able to read the screen?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. I can read your screen, but I tried to print it out to look at it because I'm old, and I couldn't figure out how to make it big enough on 2 sheets of paper to see the.
Yeah. You can do. There's a couple of tricks. I'm better at it. I'm better at it in Excel.
Yeah, couldn't
working
figure
on
it
the page, working on the formatting. And then I am in Google, but keep trying. I'm sure you can get it.
Yeah,
There's
we'll figure
also
something out.
there's also in here as a reminder the long form, which is got more detailed information if you need it.
Correct. Before we go on, I don't know whether this will matter for any of the going through the sessions, but I received a letter from Jessica LeClaire, one of the sustainable CT managers, reminding us about recertifying and identifying that there is an upcoming webinar, January 20th at 10 a.m. to learn about this year's application process. And she says there have been quite a few updates to the program, and you might find the webinar helpful. It will also be posted to our website. So depending on whether being part of it, to be able to ask questions or watch it after the fact. They are adding something which they're calling a climate leader designation. Which will be announced. That probably doesn't apply to us. And she also ended the letter by noting that we have a new first selectman and asked if we would like Jessica, the program manager, to contact First Selectman McNally to introduce herself.
Yeah, I think the one important thing that they could help us do, I don't know if we have the option to do it or not, but Jamie's name and email address is like the primary holder of our sustainable CT account. So at the very least, getting that updated to be Monica's would probably be a good thing.
Okay.
I'm just going to confirm that.
And I just got this letter from her last Thursday, from Jessica, so I will respond to her, ask her about that, and have now noted to you, let her know that I've noted to the committee that the January 20th webinar, I will try to do it. If anybody else wants to. Again, I think the only reason for doing it live versus then later on is if you have specific questions that would help with the stuff we're looking at here and any changes in actions or rules. All right, I just thought I should let you know that before we keep going.
Yeah. Let's see, I got to remember my login here. I'm just going to just check that. Thankfully, I use a password application.
Me too.
Because there's just too many. I got it right. I just must have hidden. Oh, I was my personal email address. That was the problem. See, try number 2 works. All right. Yeah, update municipal. Yeah, the owner is listed as Jamie. That's what I thought. So we want to get that. Okay, going back to the spreadsheet. All right, I would love it if we did, 1.3 as well, but so I would encourage pursuit of it, but at least we have one in that category that we know will hit.
And my thinking on that before we move on is that would really require some coordination or connection with I assume the selectman's office.
Oh yeah. I mean, that would be the Board of Selectmen having to pass some statement and maybe it being adopted by the RTM, and again, go to the specific list, read the specific list of exactly what you're specifically supposed to do and do that. And yeah, it would require endorsement and effort and and being on board.
And my question is, do you think that would be in our purview to ask for such a thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. We'll say, hey, this is the thing that gets us points, and not only does it get a point, but we think it's kind of a nice thing to do, a smart thing to do, and here's how we would do it if you chose to. And
okay,
I think in order to,
that would, we can figure out how to do it. I'm more like, is that something that would be considered part of our advisory role, that we could recommend that they could choose?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that falls under sustainable CT as a part of our advisory role.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
There is, go ahead, Cliff.
I think that for something like this, the best thing is to use one of the models that Sustainable CT provides
Yes.
and kind of adapt it for Darien and give them this as a draft that they could consider.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to make the same suggestion, Cliff. Thank you.
Now, sometimes, and this will be up to Carolyn going forward, which is, when do individual committee members have the authority to kind of head out and pursue all of these things? And when do we think a recommendation like that ought to at least have a consensus vote of the committee members so that you are acting with the vote of the committee? So, something like that requires the town, to adopt a thing, we would probably want to take a vote on and say, yes, we're recommending that. The committee is recommending that. Whereas, some of this other stuff is about, we're just working with people and we don't want to take a vote for every little action we're taking.
Agreed.
All right, I'm going to move on to number 2, thriving local economies. We do not have any brownfield sites in Darien. Although, again, sustainable purchasing is awesome and we should pursue it. I'm not putting it in the green category yet, only because it's been sitting around doing nothing for a year. So I'm not going to count on those points, at least for this conversation.
I would tell you that actually I've had some responses on this, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that has to be done by only one person, and that's the town administrator. Is that Kathleen Bush, yeah. She is the only person to work on that. It's not delegated to somebody else. I mean, in order for this to get done, I think she's going to have to hire a consultant or something. I mean, I've offered to draft something, but there's no interest. So I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, I'll just change the word there, which any of you can do when you're working with this spreadsheet, to unlikely. So then where I did put the green points, because Carolyn thinks we are already at 5 or close to 5, which is the participate in and promote the CPS program.
Right.
And you're trying to see if we can get other property owners participating, which could give us, 10 or 15 versus 5.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So category 2, we should be able to fulfill from the CPACE program.
So yeah, so there is, we are participating. And you said at least 2 property owners have had projects in the last 2 years?
Yeah, since I think it was January 2019 is the cutoff date.
Okay.
There are, I think, 3. I think if we get, I'd have to check my notes, but I think if we get 2 additional commercial buildings to sign on, we can get that extra 5 points.
Okay, so we are participating, which gives us 5, and if we get 2 more property owners, we can get 10.
So I actually think we don't get, I think there's no rolling points for participating. I think we got those points the last time. What we do get points for is meeting with the Connecticut Green Bank, which I did, and then publicizing the CPACE program. That's where we'll get those points. And then if additional property owners sign on, we'll get more points if we get two or 3 more to sign on. So we should get a minimum of 5 points here, and hopefully more.
Okay.
We should get 10 points from 2.3 though, I would think.
Yeah, well, so then, so I've got you listed on 2.3 and 2.4, which is inventory and promote local retail options and provide resources and support local businesses. I've got the chamber as a potential partner on that.
Yes.
Have you looked at the full action item requirements for that?
I'll be honest, I read about half of it.
Okay.
Yeah, Craig, I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So I was looking at that as well, and it's going to take some money. We're going to need, so for example, to be able to publicize the local, develop and distribute a user-friendly inventory of local business options. They mentioned putting it on the town website, but then it also says should be made available in hard copy. Well, where do we get the money to produce hard copies that we could then?
How many do you need to
It
make
doesn't
available?
specify.
Can you print out 20 and put them on the table at the lobby? You know?
Yeah,
or can
they
you?
ask you to identify where they've been distributed. I mean, we could put some on the table at town hall. Yeah. But
So
I mean, it would be
for
nice
minor
if we could.
printing. You know, I think that I'm imagining we have budget for that for minor printing, and I'm imagining that, you know, again, if our partner potentially on these types of things is the chamber, you know, they can help.
Print it.
Okay, good.
Can I just, this is maybe a dumb question, but what about other things that happen, like, you know, isn't there a calendar or a town calendar or planner? There's just something that came with the
the town planner came out
with the
we got the back page again.
The recycling stuff on the back. I mean, some of those kinds of things, if the communities at all, towns involved.
I 100% agree. What I want to avoid, just so we can get through this in a reasonable time today, is drilling down on the specifics of each action item. And I'll just encourage the committee member who's responsible to review the specific requirements and have that, you know, if that person wants to come back and spitball and say, well, here's some ideas and how do we get it done and who do I call, then let's do it that way. You know, we can't all, you know, 5 or 6 at a time look at each action item and try to spitball these ideas. It starts with what is actually required, what are the specific steps, and then the second point is, you know, brainstorming on how to accomplish those steps. So back to you, Christine. So I mean, basically, if you read through one of those and you think it is likely that we're going to get points, you know, then you can come in here and turn the cell green, you know, like that. And then we'll know you think it's likely that we're going to get points under that category. But so do you think I should make 2.3 green based on what you've read so far?
I do.
Okay. And then what about 2.4?
Mine was 2.4. I think we could at least get 5 points.
Okay. So, all right. Excellent. So we got point potential in category 1 and 2. So category 3, I have a number of yeses here. But the question is, how real are those yeses? Yes means we want to pursue it. And I guess the green would mean we think it is likely that we will get points under it. So there's provide watershed education, which we accomplished last time by tagging along with the high school student that was doing it and aquarium.
I'm not sure at this point.
Okay. So it's under your header to take a look at that and decide if there's point potential here. So I saw, Cliff, on kind of 3.2 and 3.3, I saw included in one of your items in your email to Monica, you had highlighted watershed management plan and so forth as potential. When I read through the sustainable CT requirements for what a watershed management plan is, I didn't think the town's actions are rising to the level where it would qualify for those points. So we have done watershed studies of the Stony Brook, of the Norotan River, of the Goodwives River. We did that back, well, 8 or so years ago at this point. But the purpose of those studies was very much focused on drainage and flooding mitigation potential, and understanding the scope of the drainage and flooding. A watershed management plan is much more broad. It gets into ecological and wetlands and land uses and having that inform your town planning and it's a much more holistic and broader view of what than we've got a flooding problem and we're trying to fix it. So my initial thinking was that was going to be a heavy pull and was unlikely to be accomplished. I mean, we would have to hire a consultant and pay them tens of thousands of dollars to produce, the backbone of this report. That then you can't qualify for items under 3.3 unless you're actually doing it because you have a plan. So you can't just go engage in watershed protection unless you actually have a plan, and the plan says that's what you should be doing. So that's why I hadn't had yeses on these two particular items, at least at this point. But again, reread and always look for opportunity. I haven't read this one, so I can't comment on whether or not it's likely. I know the Plan of Conservation and Development does inventory our open spaces, so I will look into that. Let's see, under Manage for Drought and Municipal Water Use, Carolyn, I have that under you.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have had droughts in the past and the town has taken actions during those droughts, I feel like there's information there and it's possible, but I haven't read it myself. I don't know if you have any further guidance.
Yeah, I mean, we have the postcards that go out in conjunction with Aquarion, with the, when you can use your outdoor sprinklers and so forth. That's been what we've done so far. There's nothing that I've been able to find on the town website that shows that we actually have a drought management plan per se that's stated the way it is in some other communities. So I think I'll do what Cliff suggested, which is find what's been done in other communities, draft something and, show it and, discuss it with Monica.
All elements must be completed to receive credit, have a formal policy, pass it, and that, so to do A and B, have a formal policy, and then develop drought communication. Yeah. So
and that's what I think we don't have, though the postcards have gone out, and I think several years ago, so it would probably not count for this application, but I know that there was like a press release that went out. I think it was 2016 when we had that big drought. But I don't think we have what qualifies for this.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So you're looking into this, and and hopefully you'll advise on whether or not we've got point potential in this particular category.
So even if we don't, we still have point potential with 3.4, the open space plan, because of our
Plan of Conservation and Development.
Right, and that's rolling credit, as I remember, I think. And is there anything else that we?
Well, yeah. So there's three. The next one is 3.7. Provide education on water conservation. And again, I would have to imagine Aquarion has money set aside for this sort of thing. So if we engage Aquarion and we get them to do a virtual thing with the library or something, then we're doing it, right? Like, and again, I haven't read it, but I'm guessing it's something like that. But Kathy, that's under your.
Yeah, and that is my understanding too of provide using some of their resources, because what I did realize is Aquarion is actively trying to reduce manage water use. So that would be the approach that I would take.
So first step on the agenda, look at the action item, assess specifically what needs to be done. If it's achievable, we'll put a green fill there, and then set about trying to achieve it. I've got to read, let's see, which ones have I said I need to read? I need to read 3.4, and I need to read 3.8.
I didn't look at that one at all, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
I'll put that under my area of responsibility to read.
Okay.
As I understand, that's kind of in my wheelhouse. The other area, I mean, all of these are, again, if you have cooperation from certain town departments, I think some of these are manageable. But the next one I had a yes next to was enhancing pollinator pathways. So again, we have a couple of individuals that have been volunteering time to promote pollinator pathways. And so again, kind of figuring out what they may have done in the last year or two or would be doing this year and figuring out how to support them could potentially get us points. But I don't have a responsible party under this one.
You can
I'll
put
go.
me under, oh,
Okay.
Cliff, did you want to do that one?
Well, I don't want to get in your way.
No. You're not
You
getting it.
can lift her up without getting in her way.
I do know that the
Okay.
pollinator pathway is active. They do a lot, and I know that they are also accomplishing some things through the Beautification Commission.
Mhm.
So, like that beautiful pollinator garden that's outside of Town Hall, that's new. We should be able to get credit for that. And they have things at Tilly Pond.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a lot. I will check in with Deepika and I'll show her what this requires and find out what we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, when I go to the what I have tended to do when I'm asking people questions from this is, for example, I will go to the enhanced pollinator pathways. I'll actually hit the get PDF, and I'll
Send them a
download,
copy of the PDF.
I'll download that and send them a copy of the PDF and say, here's what the requirements are. I was reading X, Y, and Z. What do you think? I think, it would be great to have your help. Blah blah blah. All right, so we don't. I mean, we think there's plenty of places where we're likely to get points, but we haven't specifically said, yeah, no, we can get this one. So we're missing a green box under 3, but we have a bunch of yeses, which brings us to 4. So we still need to, hopefully by maybe the deadline would be for, if you have your name listed here, is, if we're going to meet next week, report back whether you think we can turn any of these boxes to green.
Greg, couldn't we do 3.2 as green? Because I do know that Deepika and her team have done 3.12.1 and 3.12.2. We should be able to get credit for that.
Okay.
Don't you
No,
think?
if you're reading that now and you think it's likely, I'm happy to just turn
I'm
it
just
green.
reading what it calls for, and I think they've got that in the bag.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Are
I
you
would put.
if you disagree?
No, I agree. It's on there. All right, so category 4. So are we good? Yeah, we got one. So far, we're doing well. We got green in each of the first 3. So here we go.
Okay.
Vibrant and creative cultural ecosystems. We had initially targeted map tourism and cultural assets and support arts and creative culture. Christine, I had your name heading this one up.
We will get credit for something under there. I'm just not sure what it is yet.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would imagine so. We at least sound like we do these things.
Yeah, it does.
Didn't we have an issue the last time with we thought that we could get credit for the fact that the art center is in Town Hall, but we didn't get credit for it.
We didn't, I don't think.
So we weren't able to identify any areas where the town supports, like I was looking at, like arts and creative culture.
But even like,
Yeah.
so let's do item 1. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to work with the library and have the library to establish a poet laureate for the town,
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
yes.
I mean, that's like something they would probably eat up and would love to just run with, you know, if you told them what they had to do.
All right,
But
I'll
as I
reach out.
recall under that item, you have to do, I think it's like the more you do, the more points you get, but there's,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Certain requirements, yeah.
I think you have to do a minimum number, like 3 of them or something to get
Yeah.
5 points, if I remember
Complete
correctly.
3 sub-actions for 10 points, and then receive 5 points for each
Okay.
additional sub-action. Yep. So it's not just one, it's then you have to look at all the rest of these, which
Right.
there's a lot of them, so we're not going to do them all now. But that's the idea. Again, you got to read this. You got to focus on the things you think are achievable, figure out how they're achievable, and then set about making it happen.
Yes.
And again, you don't want to get into the details, but what I
Yeah.
will read as well, but there are a number of things through the Art Center and the Nature Center and things that do recognize artists. So I think we could dig in some of those things. It might be a little bit of
Yeah.
a stretch, but there
we
are
got
probably connections that could be argued.
include arts and culture in publicly available municipal marketing, commit dedicated funding to the arts, establish a percent for art, public art program, establish a cultural office or arts and culture department.
Yeah, I thought category 4 was tough.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I do think this one is tough.
But we have the art in the town hall, the art at the library, the contest through the Darien Nature Center. I got to believe there's a way to weave. Those are community art things.
The whole point is you got to read what Sustainable CT is going to give you.
The devil is in the details, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to make the details work for you, and I have to tell you as a writer.
I'm kind of out of touch with what's going on with the kids, but I feel as though I've seen in various town publications that they offer programs for kids that tie into arts. But coming to the part of the town I do know a bit about, the senior center has a lot of art activities in it, and the senior center is a town function.
That's true. Okay, I'll put that on the list of people to work with.
Yeah, but again, I think, you know, just to get the order of operations correct, I think you got to start by reading these. You know, it's great to have good ideas about arts and culture, but our ideas don't necessarily match what they're telling us to do. So you got to decide.
My impression last time was that there wasn't a lot, but there was some flexibility. And as we worked with the fellows and explained verbally what we were doing, they were able to sometimes connect the dots for us. So I wouldn't rule them out. Yeah.
So commit dedicated funding to the arts. You know, is there a way through the Park and Rec catalog or the Senior Center catalog where town money is being used to fund things in a way that would qualify for action points? All right, so we know the process, but we're a little, let's see. Oh, I think I've done some things I shouldn't do here.
No, I did that.
Oh, you did that. Okay.
I am positive we're going to be fine.
Okay, you think we're going to be fine. All right, sounds good. Oh, look at this, dynamic updating. This is perfect. This is exactly what we're doing this for. Dynamic and resilient planning. This we already did. So I go back to Chad's email. I did look at Chad's email. I don't think it qualifies for rolling points.
Right.
Kathy, it looks like you were going to look at 5.4. And again, and I remember, you know, going back a few years that there were Connecticut-based nonprofits that were holding seminars about climate vulnerability along the Connecticut coast. And again, just imagining that maybe there's a way that would help us and another way to find a partner.
Yeah, there's
it
a
was
lot
the
of
same-
work with this, the organizations that are doing a significant amount of research along the coast, and whether our town participates, I don't know yet. I will
Yeah.
have that ready for the next one.
Okay. And this one needs a volunteer. Inventory and assess historic resources. Again, we have the Museum of Darien. Does someone want to read this category? And
Is this 5.5?
yeah,
Yeah, because I had worked with Terry on that last time. I'm happy to revisit that.
okay. And he had done a bunch of spreadsheet work last time.
Yeah, I still have it all, so I'm hoping I can just update it. And
Yeah, and
So
then
that would be great.
yeah, then we got to, present it in a way that gets us points.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of slim pickings in this category, and that's probably our leading choice.
Which one's our leading choice, Craig?
5.5.
Shouldn't we already get points though for 5.1, or do we not get rolling points for that one?
Hold on, I'll see if I can find that email from Chad where he had the spreadsheet. And because he advised us on what he thought was.
Because I think in the description, it says it is, you can get rolling points for it.
Okay, let me take a look.
And our plan of conservation and development hasn't been redone since we last applied.
Let's see here. Find. Oh, that's a bad thing to search for. So it used to be 4.1. Oh, well, he does say there's rolling credit.
Yeah, there is.
Based on a new worksheet. Yep. Oh, good. Okay.
So we should be able to get points for that, right?
Yeah, and I will keep that under me, and I'll take a closer look at that.
That's 5.1, right?
5.1.
Okay. So we've got that.
All right, well, that's good. Okay, so let's move on to 6 since we've got one. Although I'm curious on 5.7, I was just going to take a quick look.
5.7.
Because there is, I think that has to do with bouncing back from the pandemic. Plan for long-term recovery. This has been revised. Establish a long-term recovery planning team to carry out responses after disasters, natural or man-made. That's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Yeah.
Craig, 5.4. I just double checked that because my head was spinning, and I'm going to read you. Perform a climate vulnerability assessment. It says Sustainable CT is thrilled to partner with the Nature Conservancy to offer community resilience building workshops.
Okay.
If your town is already completed a workshop, you're eligible for blah, blah, blah. So it involves, there's an assessment and I don't know how many town employees or whatever, but the Nature Conservancy is available to partner on that. So that's worth looking into.
Okay. So I'll put a yes there for now.
Yeah.
And you'll look into that a little bit more. I would potentially go to, once you understand what the Nature Conservancy and Sustainable CT is willing to do, my first department stop on something like that would be the Planning and Zoning Office, talk to Jeremy or Fred and see if they can help organize.
Okay.
But there's also, I think, or you could do it through EPC and the new staff member there, Rick Telemelli. I think that makes sense. All right, so now I'm going to jump to 6.
6.
Again.
Yeah.
Cliff and I are determined that we're going to support zero emission vehicle development.
My
and it wasn't
recollection
like
is,
the first item on that, like just host an educational event, like 5 points. That was 6. Support vehicle emissions deployment. Yeah, sponsor or host a zero emissions vehicle promotional event or educational workshop with a community partner or third party, right? Like that's pretty low bar, and that's 5 points. So we're going to make you get that done.
Cliff and I are going to have police cars by the end of the year, right, Cliff?
Working on it, working on it. Well, you know, Ed said at our last meeting that he thought in this budget process that money would be put in the budget for EVs and or something about that.
Yeah.
Definitely
You know,
should.
there is a committee looking at how to spend the ARPA funds, which is the Recovery Act funds, and you know, building for a more sustainable future certainly is worthy, but they're looking, you know, it's kind of like a shovel-ready thing. They're looking for very specific things that can be clearly identified, and they know exactly who's getting the money and for what, to make their recommendations. Anyway, I mentioned that because that's another pot of money that is kind of in addition to the town budget that they're talking about now. There's a committee set up to make a committee much like our own, set up to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. Now I thought last time we got this municipal fleet one. No, doesn't look like it. Promote effective parking management. We did get credit for that. Not on here anymore. There is. So we got credit. We got credit for promoting effective parking management last time, and it does say that there's rolling credit for it.
Right.
So that has to get looked at. That is an Ed thing. I'm just going to make Ed look at that one. So I'm volunteering him since he's not at the meeting.
Might be interesting to somehow note which of these we got credit for last time, if we highlight them in the number in a different color or something.
Yeah, I think it was only this. I think it was only 6.2. Oh yeah, put on the side. Well, you have to kind of.
I know translate. It's not one.
Yeah, you got actually, and Chad's spreadsheet actually does that in the third column. The first column he tells you the previous action number, and the third column he tells you the current.
Okay.
One. So we could do that actually. How would I do that? Oh, actually, we got credit. Let me go back up here. This is a good idea, Kathy, right? We got credit last time. We got credit last time for this one. And we got credit under this one last time. 4.1 and 4.2, and there is rolling credit. So here we go. Wow. We got credit for develop agricultural friendly practices.
That was the community gardens at Cherry Lawn.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. So far we've got. Well, we feel good about 3. We just haven't identified the ones that we're definitely going to get. All right. So I'm going to move to. Sorry.
7.
Yeah. Yeah, I moved to 7. Yeah, this one I'm concerned about 7.
Yeah.
I'm definitely concerned about 7.
Right.
just to remind folks that weren't participating, but we went through a huge thing with Eversource on 7.1, and it was a significant effort. And it gave us good information, but yeah, because even by the time we did it, it was too old. We're too old twice now. And then the bars for reducing energy use across all municipal buildings are just high. You got to reduce by, prove a in-place reduction, based on your power bills of 10% across all your municipal buildings. I mean, it's just so high. It's not going to happen. Increase, again, we're just kind of out of time on this one. We've got, I think 5% of our power comes from renewable energy. I think we have to get to 10% to start getting points under this category. So we're not going to have something proposed, built, installed, and running to get us to 10%.
Right. So where do we get the minimum number of points?
Yeah, I would say, to me, I kind of put this one in green as our only choice. Because we found out that many of our buildings qualified for an Energy Star rating, but we just, hadn't bothered to go through the process to get the Energy Star rating. And really it was, you got to hire someone to put all the paperwork together and process it through, is it EPA that does the Energy Star ratings? To get them. And so
I think we got the points last time from the street lights, right? But that's not available for rolling credit.
It is not, unless we've done something more. I know we did, I think, but the paddle hut or the paddle courts, I think, were in there too. I mean, because that could be maybe 7.6. We did the project where we replaced the paddle court lights.
Yeah, but has that been since the last application? I feel like that was some time ago.
I agree. I think it was a long time ago.
Yeah, because we used the money that we got from Eversource, the grant money. We give 10,000 or so for that?
Yeah, we subsidized the Park and Rec project with that grant.
I don't think we're going to get that.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
What about implement a community energy campaign? I mean, that's like an educational thing.
Yeah, I guess we could look under there to see what those requirements are. Does somebody want to do that?
They're hard. I was looking at it last night.
Yeah. I mean, again, we did a lot last time because Eversource gave us money, right? We did a mailer, we had an event, we used Channel 79 to videotape an efficiency of my house. So we did a full campaign last time, but we had, Eversource put significant money into this.
Yes.
Last time. They funded staff members.
7.7 implement a community energy campaign. Description of how audience was engaged, number of participants. I mean, this could be a Zoom event possibly, I would think.
Yeah.
We advertise it. Maybe we partner with the Darien Library. That's like the only category where I can even.
Yeah, you have to do three. You have to do all three, and C is at least 5 events. You have to do at least 5 things to reach out on energy use.
See, and to me, that on first glance looks really hard, but if you 5 of us can't do all this on our own, but if there was a group that was willing to do it could be as simple as turn off your lights at night kind of thing, and you targeted that and you put it in the nature center and at the Y. I mean, again, I know you don't want to dig down, but that
your ideas are correct.
That would work on that. Is there a group that is doing that or would do that? I don't know the answer to that. But
I feel like this is the only category where we may get some points. The other things are they're just too much work and.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I was thinking is that we ask a consultant how much it would cost to get us Energy Star ratings for our buildings in the next 6 months. And if that consultant has a cost, then we can present that to the Board of Selectmen and say, look, this is it. We've got to get points for this stuff.
We do.
All right.
There's
So
there's a green team meeting coming up very soon, I think, Caroline. Are you going to be going to that?
I don't recall getting an email about that. Could you just remind me when it is? What day? Is it next Monday? They're usually on Mondays.
Yeah, I had it in my schedule. Let me take a look. I was just looking ahead in the month and I remember seeing it. Monday the 10th.
The 10th? Okay.
That's what I have it in my schedule for. Now that may be that I put it in as a recurring meeting and maybe they don't plan to have it, but that's what I have.
Yeah, I have not received an email recently about that. So, but I'm just thinking,
to follow
where
you're suggesting
none of the members of the green team, I don't really see where we could work with any of them for this particular category. I'm not sure.
For an energy campaign?
Yeah. Oh, to do the publicity. I was thinking about what Craig had said about the Energy Star ratings and so forth.
No, about the energy campaign.
Yeah.
Do you think the green team to say? I wonder if the Eversource does have some ability to support. Yeah, I mean, it still seems to be a smart thing for them to do. It just might not be as overt as they were doing before.
Right.
And I wonder if our community outreach person is still Tracy. I think it might be. We can ask them.
Maybe if we could organize something with like the Darien Library and the New Canaan Library. I'm thinking that maybe if we can bring in a couple of other communities and then approach Eversource, it might be worth their while to hold some kind of virtual, meeting, virtual campaign.
If you just even go to Eversource and you just go to the top button, you can see energy saving resources, energy saving tips, efficiency, green button, learn about efficiency, understanding cooling costs, learn about solar, electric vehicles. So there may be, if we do have a community outreach rep, there may be someone that the town could rely on to.
Tracy, yeah. Well, let's see. Our point person for the energy campaign at Eversource was Natalia, but
Natalia, right?
She's not there anymore. But I do think there's Tracy Alston, and I've seen her recently, and she still works for Eversource, and she might still be kind of in the community relations arena. Yeah, Tracy Alston, Community Relations Specialist, Eversource. So that's what our LinkedIn page says. Let me see. It just might be worth talking to her. So
that's another one where looking at what other certified communities did for that would be interesting, because there may be stuff you can steal.
Yeah. So who wants to read this one? And try to hatch a plan.
I will. I'm sort of hearing a theme between the water conservation and the energy. I'm wondering if there could be kind of a,
Yeah, get the utility companies, which is the same utility company, but certainly, you know, managed differently.
kind of a two-part series or a campaign that were to happen.
Yeah, or you could just you could do 2-for-1s too. Like you could do the first
Right.
45 minutes on energy and the next 45 minutes on water conservation.
Use the library, use the nature center,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, do it virtual, you know. Yeah. All right. So for now, we're concerned about 7.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've noted that. Yeah, this I looked at, and we're not going to get it done. But okay, so we're going to move on to 8.
We should be able to get points here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's going to kind of make sure that that's true? We need some more members.
Yes.
We do, yeah. On the second one of the communications, Pam and Carolyn have been working on those, right?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Let's put kind of Pam here. You know, she's got some things diverting her attention right now, which is fine. But maybe this is a good way for her to pick up on this for Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kathy, maybe you know, if you're kind of doing the water conservation and the energy, this all starts to maybe be the same thing. I don't know. You're muted.
What number did you just add or comment on?
8-1.
8-1.
Is that all
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Okay.
I think, Craig, we can also get some points under 8.3. I've been looking at that one.
Okay.
You can put my name next to that one.
So I have it as a yes. Do you want me to keep it as a yes, or do you want me to turn it green? Like green is like, yeah, it's just a matter of documenting. We're going to get some points versus we have to convince people to go get training.
Yeah, that one I do.
You think so? We should do green then.
You have to convince somebody that's not a green.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So it's a yes. We could get points if we did certain reasonable things. It's now we've got to convince people to do the reasonable things. Once we convince people to do once we know that they're going to do them, then we can make it green.
It's also easier if we can actually find the training seminars and then send them to them and ask them to attend.
Yeah. Here it is. It's February 22nd, and this is what it's on. This is why we think it applies to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're good in category 8.
Yep. So 9.1, we tried to get points for last time and didn't. The issue, we do report to the DEP, but unfortunately, we're only reporting what comes in to the transfer station, which doesn't capture the lion's share of the waste generated in town since there's so many private haulers. So we didn't qualify.
But there is a worksheet to be able to, there's a worksheet to be able to get to estimate what it is with private haulers.
But you have to reach out to all the private haulers to get their estimates.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is.
I mean, this is one that we really should try to do because I think this is information that would be helpful just for our residents. I think our residents, because I find just in having done the social media for a number of years, the residents, there seems to be a lot of response when people are given metrics. They like to hear this many tons of mattresses.
How is this actually helping? You know,
yeah. So I think this is one, if we can, this one might be we should maybe consider pursuing if the haulers were they unwilling to help or? Or we just didn't ask them last time?
I just think we were like running out of time. I just don't think we followed through. So
And
I think maybe.
To what degree would they want to share that information with us in the town? I mean, what
Well, I think
degree
that what I would say is this, and I'm going to volunteer another member of the DPW staff if they're watching at home. You know, Darren is the one that puts together the town side of this thing to report to the DEP each quarter or year, whatever the schedule is. And DPW is the department that manages the licensed haulers in town. It would seem reasonable that they could reach out to the 5 or 6 or 7 folks and say, well, you know, we're the ones that license you. You have to give us, you know, these 4 pieces of information each in the next 30 days, you know. So maybe that's the way we can get that done. All right.
Is there any rolling credit for 9-4?
You would think. Did we even?
Yeah.
We got credit for it. Yeah. Yes, there is rolling
yes,
credit.
we can get rolling credit for that.
Yep.
So we do have something in this category in
Yep.
9.
Yes. Yeah, and we're composting organics, by the way. So, and we're recycling a bunch of additional materials that not everybody does. And these are all available for rolling credit.
Yeah.
So these are achievable. So yeah, 9's looking good.
9's good.
10.
Is 10-4 rolling credit?
I don't think
It should be for Cherry Lawn Gardens.
I think we got, that was the 5-3. Oh wait, this action has been moved to a new category, category 10-4, develop and promote community growing spaces. So
Yeah.
I gotta take.
So we
this
should be able
off.
to get credit for that.
Yeah. And then put this back on rolling credit. All right, who wants to be the responsible party for making sure we get those points?
I mean, I did it last time, so I can do it again. 10-4.
Okay. Someone had pointed out the, which is this one, 10-3. There might have been some simple version.
About no idling.
Yeah, or no cigarette smoking. Maintain a smoking or tobacco use reduction campaign. Gather regional data about tobacco use. Adopt 1 or more policies designed to reduce tobacco use.
Yeah, I mean, some of these seem kind of easy when you first look at them, but then when you drill down into what's actually required,
implement a strategic campaign to prevent excess idling of motor vehicles. For example, post no idling signs and distribute educational materials at municipal events, provide ongoing training to municipal employees such as school bus drivers and police officers. Yeah, that was it. It was 2 on tobacco and 1 on, or 3 on tobacco and 1 on idling. I mean, I guess my only thought on tobacco is, you know, does our health department do anything? You know, are they doing something? You know?
Good question about that.
I had health department under this one. I mean, even all of these, like conduct health impact assessments. I don't know. Is there something the health department does annually to in this arena? I just don't know.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I thought that the only thing we might get credit for here is the community
spaces.
growing spaces,
Okay.
which I think is an odd place for them to have put this item.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think if I could guess at the reason they put it here.
Because of wellness opportunities.
Well, there's a lot of conversation in the sustainable community about, you know, urban food deserts where, you know, you don't have a green grocer within a mile.
Yeah.
And then, you know, creating, you know, kind of these neighborhood gardens in those areas to increase awareness and access to, you know, homemade fruits and homegrown fruits and vegetables. You know, doesn't entirely align with a suburban community where you can, you know, most people can have their own garden if they wanted.
Right. Yeah. No, I think 10.4 is probably the only one that we can get credit for, unless we look at 10.3 and find that the health department does something.
Yeah, or 10 point.
A number of, I think it was Wilton did an idling no idle campaign and had things for your car, magnetic
Buchanan
things
did
to put
it
on your
too.
car. And I don't know if our school system would, you know, have at the drop-offs.
They did at one point. We actually did, I think there was a program probably 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, we did it through DEG.
Where we got some signs put out.
Yeah, there are signs at the middle school.
Yeah.
And the high school.
But you look at that category and it's like, you know,
it's more than that.
Yeah, it's a constant campaign. You know, implement and or maintain a strategic campaign. You know, post signs, distribute educational materials, provide ongoing training. You know, it's not just one piece of it.
Right.
Okay.
So in terms of 11, I feel very good about 11.3.
Good.
I will reach out to P&Z and see if they can help us with that. But at the very, you know, we actually are pretty unique for a suburban community in that we have an inclusionary zoning regulation that requires a portion of each project to have affordable housing. So that should get us points under 11.3. And then 11.1 is something that P&Z has to do this year anyway. It's really just a question of whether or not they're going to be completely done by August and whether or not it aligns with sustainable CT's requirements. So anyway, so I have possible under that one, likely under 11.3. 11.2, I will still follow up on. The state publishes what it's called its appeals list, which shows the percentage of affordable housing in each community. And this points are available if you increase your percentage by 0.25%. And since the last numbers were published, the Royal opened, which increased our affordable housing. I think Garden Homes conversion of an office building over on
Post Road
across from Rory's opened, and Ableist opened. So we might be able to prove that with those openings, this number will move north by at least 1/4%, but I don't know how that gets done, how that information gets from the municipality to the state level, et cetera, what the specifics are. So I'm going to reach out to P&Z on that too. All right, Cliff, you were interested in this category, which was category 12.
Yeah, and I've met with Ali Remzik, and I provided her with the training that's offered by Sustainable CT, and she's agreed to take it. In my note to our new first selectman, I asked her some questions related to this, and she's not responded. I mean, my assumption is that Ali Resnick has been designated, which is one of the things that's required here to designate a municipal employee to serve as the liaison for homeless services in your municipality. I mean, she's the one who deals with the oil supplements and
Yeah,
I don't
she's the
know if
kind
she
of Human
coordinates-
Services Department. It
Yeah.
makes sense. It would make sense that it was her. So really, it's just if some official action needs to be taken, like if Monica needs to or Kate needs to say in a memo, yeah, that's your job, you know, and then we need
Yeah,
to document that, you know.
Right. So I mean, I think that gets you 5 points, just that, as I understand it.
And is that 12-2?
And
That's 12-2?
if she does a training, which she's promised me she'll do, and I really think Ally will do it, that's another 5 points.
Okay.
Those
We
are
can get
both
points
under
8.3 from if she does the training, Cliff, that will satisfy 8.3.
So we get some
Because
cross
it's
credit for
training
that.
that's relevant to her department.
Okay. Well, I'm confident. She said she'll do it within the next 2 weeks, and I believe her.
I would need to know, need to know when she did it, what the title of the seminar was, and then of course I know her name and title, but all of that would need to go into that category.
Right.
Have you happened to talk to her about any of these other categories?
Yes. Yes, I have. I talked to her about all of them.
Okay.
And she owes me some information about some of them. Some of them we don't have. We don't have of the data.
We're not going to get there. Yeah.
No, we're certainly not going to get all of them. But I mean, I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to do 12.
We're going to at least get some points in 12.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And you'll continue to pursue how many more points. The other thing, I read an article about one of our past first selectman, Yvonne Klein, who is taking a position at a nonprofit to eliminate homelessness in Connecticut. I read that in the last week. I don't know if that nonprofit would have.
Yvonne Klein, I don't know who she did it with. I can't remember. But there have been a whole bunch of community fora on this question of not homelessness, but affordable housing.
Yeah.
I've attended a couple of them.
Her partner is my son, but it has a different last name.
Kathy's son, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I've attended a bunch of those, and they are, I think a lot of it was in support of the legislation that they were working on in Hartford.
It was broader than that. It started with a history lesson and there will be doing some, and I would be interesting to find out if that topic of homelessness and resources they might be bringing to bear on that at all, to share them with Ally or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I think what I've been told, and I think is correct because it's coming directly from Chad, I believe, is that fighting homelessness rather than, preventing it rather than solving it after the fact, it counts as well. And that's where we're very active.
Yeah. Well, I guess my point, we do have a strong human services person here, and you're already working with her. My point of bringing up this one is, if there is a nonprofit who has identified a mission of ending homelessness in Connecticut, I would assume there's money behind it, and they would be interested in, how best to use that money and all the same information, right? So I don't know, it might be worth a conversation there.
What was the name of that organization she's with?
The Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness.
Okay.
The coalition represents more than 100 members, including emergency shelter providers, transitional housing providers, and community leaders. The group conducts research on housing policy and advocates for solutions and resources to homelessness. Anyway. And what was the name of Chris's group, Kathleen? Kathy? Sorry,
you're muted, Kathy.
Trying to remember.
Kathy, you're muted. You're muted, Kathy.
Thanks, Cliff. My husband was walking around, so I'm muted. Darien Talks Housing, and they work with, I forget, FCHOO, Fairfield County Housing. I'd have to look up the organization that was. But I mean, I also know Yvonne quite well, and Chris is in Japan, but he's still working with her with the time change. I'll see if there's any focus on homelessness in their work this year, or people they could send us to, or send Allie to, whatever. I'll just look.
Well, they're definitely talking about affordable housing, and that is something that relates to keeping people from being homeless.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so at the end of the day, it looks like we are feeling pretty good about securing points in most every category, 11 out of 12. We're a little bit concerned in item 7. So I guess Kathy on 7.7, that's a critical thing to look at.
Yep.
And me, I guess I'm still in here under 7.3, but that's fine. I'll look at that.
Craig, with the, again, the details might be bigger than this, but with the new Oxford school, will there be any, I don't know.
Well, yeah, again, so
information or
so
innovation?
Yeah, having, not really.
No, okay.
I mean, it just because it was built most recently, it has to comply with current energy codes. It will likely be one of the more efficient buildings in town. But that's as far as they really went.
Okay.
And really, if I recall from our application process last time, the issue is that, stuff has to be done and up and running and proved, to get points. And I'm not even sure when they're looking at CO. Maybe they are looking at it before August, but then how do you document everything? So
right, yeah, got it.
Yep.
Dumb question.
No, it's all right. There are no dumb questions because we're trying to figure this out. All right. So really, again, it's I do think more members, or at least more helpers, would be a good thing. So if anybody has ideas about folks to even just invite to a meeting and see if they're interested, I think that would be a good thing.
That's a good idea. I have a question. Are we going to try for 13.1 to do the leaf blowers?
Oh, interesting.
Have a town ordinance that, I don't know, can't use them on Sunday or something, or not before Saturday at 9 would be nice.
It's always the one that gets me is it's like the Sunday at 5. That's
That would be me, because I'm like the only leaf blower in my house. Yeah, I would just have to change my freakouts about the leaves.
I know that both New Canaan and Westport are looking into this issue. It would be interesting to see what they decide to do, but if we could work with other neighboring communities, we might have a little bit more pull with some of the landscapers.
Yeah, true.
Check this out. I just found this. This is from a year ago when Westport started looking into things. They identified Rye as having a rule that said no leaf blowers allowed between May 1 and September 30th.
And Greenwich had instituted that during the pandemic.
And Greenwich has no more than one blower at a time on your property. So you can't have like your army of landscapers all mowing at once.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a handful, but
wait, where did you get this, Craig?
Yeah, where did you get this? So
I just searched. What was my search bar? It was leaf blower ordinance Connecticut, and the first thing came from westportct.gov. Just a document they must have looked at as they were considering it. Westport. I can download it and send it to you guys if you are interested.
Yeah.
It's right here for now. The internet's really helpful, so I think it's going to catch on.
Yeah.
In under 13, it talks about collaborating with other communities. And I'm wondering if some of the things you've been doing, Caroline, don't relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, you really haven't, I think the idea that our food scrap program inspired and informed several others from getting off the ground. And you did a lot of work. You went and visited with them, had them over to visit us, shared information. I agree with Cliff. I think there's something there.
Didn't you say there's a group that's informal? You always say it's informal. That it's not, I don't even know if it has a name, but that's a collaborative group across communities, right?
Yeah, it meets monthly. Usually like I think it's the last third Friday of the month. Yeah, and it's just people who are interested. It's sort of evolved a little bit to a little bit more than just food scrap recycling, because they do bring up other things. But that was the issue that sort of over which the group convened, and that's sort of the first thing that they always talk about. So yeah, maybe we could get some points there just for that, because I do go pretty regularly. I've missed 1 or 2 of them, but this has been over the past year. And you're right, Craig. I mean, there was a lot that went into, after we started our food scrap program, talking to other people in other communities, many of which have since started their own program. So yeah, we should be able to get credit for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I agree.
That doesn't necessarily
fall
under
innovative. I would say it would be innovative strategies, right? That's the one you can create your own and say, this didn't fit neatly into a category. We think it's this, but maybe I don't think it's under 9.3 or 9.4. I think it would be under 13.
The one that jumped out to me this year that wasn't us, but I think is a good example of an innovative strategy, was the effort by Planet New Canaan to collect the pumpkins. And then they collected them all at the nature center. They ultimately took them to a farm and fed them to the cows. And they moved a lot of waste, and it went directly to feed animals. And they got trucks and trucks. I mean, there may be things that over the course of the year that will fall into that are very different and kind of one-off that would get you points for accomplishing something.
I mean, I think if we can hold like a paper shredding event prior to the submission of our application, we should be able, I don't know if that would be considered a sustainability event or if that would be recycling something that we don't currently recycle. What do you think, Craig?
Or something, is there anything we added over the last 3 years?
No. No, because food scraps was the last thing we added. We've been wanting to do plastic film recycling. We've been wanting to do shredded paper.
Yeah. Well, we also talked about doing a compost offering, a food compost offering day, buying compost again this year. Ed said he would buy it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not 13, but maybe it's it's part of an event, it's part of some sort of,
Or collaborating with the farmers market to do something in that, in that vein of anything from selling the kits or collecting food waste one day, or, something that reminded
people. As I understand it from the application, we hold the farmers event. The farmers market is basically 6 months out of the year. And I think we can get credit for every week that it's held, but because it's being held on private property, the town doesn't get credit for it unless we do something to promote it. And I think if we promote it, we can get the credit. Am I right, Kathy?
Yeah, and yes, it's on the sign out front. I mean, there are different ways that promoting it would get.
We should maybe put it. If it's on the town website, if we do it through social media.
Yeah,
I mean, I
we
think
had a day where we promoted that we would be selling the compost bins and demonstrating, whatever it might be. I don't know. But those might fall into an innovative thing that doesn't fit neatly into some of those categories, even though they're close. We found a couple last time of innovative things. The pollinator pathway, I think, was one of them. I mean, there were a couple
Yeah.
things we did that were innovative because they weren't listed anywhere.
All right. Well, I think that was productive. And I think it's helping to focus us all. And Christine, we still can't hear you because your mic is down, but you look great. The next invite is going to be coming from Carolyn.
Yikes.
For next
Are we
week's
going to be
meeting.
attending that meeting, Craig, or no?
Yeah, I think I can come to that meeting, right?
Okay.
It's looking good.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Craig, for your leadership, and thank you, Carolyn, for taking on the new job.
Amen.
Yes, Craig will get a proper thank you at the next meeting that he said that he would attend.
Okay.
Public.
Good. No, okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now.
Summer celebration.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
End recording. Okay. Stop.